swap cameras, Pisces, so that you can hear me because it affects the frequency with the other device. So we are here to do your Venus retrograde. Now, in April, around the 13th, we went into shadow, and some people say, oh, shadow doesn't really affect it. Yes, it does. Moving into the time frame, it's going to be more so heavy around May the 13th. Let me check. May the 13th to the 25th of June. Uniquely, with the energy that is occurring now, plus most of the themes, even from last month, it's been gearing us up ready for this Venus retrograde. Now, I'll be mentioning the aspects. I'll be giving you a few tips, which I didn't really get to do too much. Hi, Google. Hi, everyone. With the previous zodiac, so I might go back and retouch that video up. Now, the one thing I will say is the first thing that comes to mind during this Venus retrograde energy is the Venus flytrap, especially with the Neptunian aspects that has been made at the moment. Uniquely, you tend to find at the beginning cycle it's very romanticized. And then in the middle pocket, it's like you're seeing the good, the bad, and the ugly. And the end pocket, you can just be really gnarly towards the situation. But there's always a karmic cycle and a solution of it. You also find, because Venus is currently in Gemini, it's linked to Mercury, communication. And next month, the nodes are shifting again. So we will be moving into that energy of Gemini. I do feel we do need to keep really close attention to Aries and Chiron. And the reason being is because currently we have the Mercury energy in Aries. And that's our direct communication, and Gemini does link to communication. So we may be speaking from an egoic place or talking about our wounds and bringing things up. It's also communication from people from the past. It can be worked on first at an integration level, at an internal level, then an external. But you do tend to actually hear from people from the past. Now, it links in with your finances. It links in with your value systems, your belief systems and beauty. And uniquely, we're going to have Mercury moving on the 27th into Taurus, which, again, the Uranian energy in Taurus is very much our value systems. And maybe what to being valuable is not so valuable now because we're going through a deep transformative state. With that, what we do need to understand is on the 25th, we're going to be having Pluto going retrograde. Now, Pluto for you guys is in your 11th house, and this came up for Cancer as well. So the 11th house for you guys, your pastimes and the things to that degree uniquely, which is the luxuries and the things that we love in life, very Venus, they're under assessment at the moment. So it could be triggering you a little bit if you're in hermit mode. Looking at what is going on at a collective level, but really reassessing those and were they beneficial to you? Would you want to go back to them? And how do you value them now? But it is transforming us all at a very collective level about what those value systems are. Definitely with moving into May, where Venus does go completely into retrograde, we're also going to have Juno moving direct. That currently is in marriages, contracts, partnerships. It's still a Venus house. It's very much linking into, it's a feminine energy. So as it goes direct, Venus will be going retrograde. But we're also going to be having the nodes shift. So with the nodes shifting, what you'll find is that we'll be cycling out one old thing that we've had for 2.5 years, which has been Cancer, Capricorn nodes, plus many of the eclipses have been in those energies. And when it does go to the point where it's moving direct, this is where the eclipses for that cycle are actually cycling out these frequencies. So there is for each zodiac sign a potential of 4 months, I'm seeing, of mass transformation. I am also seeing with the Neptunian aspect that are being made to Venus at the minute, it's really important to disconcern, similar to the Venus flytrap, do you sense something? I do feel those of you that have done a lot of soul work on yourself, so you're going to have your value systems in check. Some of the old things that potentially you were looking at as beneficial and romanticized and things to that degree, it can be really shape-shifting to the point where you're seeing it for what it really is. And maybe you are aware of the delusion, and some of it is a dream state, but more something in which you wish to manifest, but due to what's going on in the collective, it's actually preventing you from doing such. Now, Neptune for you guys is actually in your first house. So it's quite a unique placement under the circumstances of really doing a lot of soul work on yourself. But it's, some energy can be no longer you wanting to navigate situations, but having to do some soul healing, having to actually nurture and look at what you feel is valuable, and are other people actually seeing you that way, or do they feel that you're invincible, so to speak. Now we'll get into the read. With the Gemini frequency coming through, in the past you may have had wounds as well, linking into how people valued you, what you needed to be. It may have been you needed to be a very heavy masculine energy, hunter-gatherer, needing to do things, and again, I'm hearing the energy of self-worth. Self-worth in a sense that potentially how you valued yourself and what you were able to do within connections, potentially was very masculine. So you may have been the provider, you might have been doing quite a bit at a financial level, and any wound, so to speak, that can link in yet again with your career sector, because with your Aries and Chiron energy, it's your second house. So it's connecting in with your assets, your physical goods, and definitely with node shifting and the Venus and Gemini energy, it is your fourth house placement. Now your fourth house energy, you'll get a bit of the third house and a bit of the fourth house, depending on the point in the month you were born. But again, it's communication and it's your psychological foundation. Fourth house can be a very uncomfortable energy, but it's also to do with where you see yourself moving forward. And I do feel a lot of people aren't going to experience this Venus retrograde the same as we have before. And it is because I feel many of you, if you have done work on yourselves, you will tend to be seeing the shadow side of Venus over the romanticized version of Venus. So hands up if you've been experiencing that yet, because I do feel that there is more the energy of you being very disconcerting and seeing and sensing things, very Neptunian, very intuitive, very psychic, where you are intuitively sensing and feeling the vibration and assessing it, a bit like walking through the matrix. That's sort of how it feels, that we're assessing it at that level. Now, I'm going to pull a card. I didn't get two with Cancer, but I'm going to pull 3 cards for beginning, middle, and end. So at a romantic level, let's tune into this. Like I said, with Mercury at the moment, it's in Aries. April 11th, it's in Aries. I do feel wounds and energies and communication is going to be very important. I feel some subject matters pertaining to where you are, your position, your career, your money, and what you're wanting to attain by 2021 can be coming up for you. Interesting. I'm also seeing when the energy moves on the 27th, Mercury in Taurus, your value systems are going to shift. So it's a bit like a Mercury retrograde in a sense, which is unique because, Gemini does link into Mercury. But you're looking at it from each perspective. First, Aries energy, our wounds. Second, value system. Then we're moving into Mercury and Gemini on the 11th. So again, it's communication's the key. So it's really important to be looking at your thought, your wound, your feeling, your emotions, your value systems. Those things can come up, especially with squaring and opposition energies. And then moving into May, where the nodes do end up shifting, which is going to occur on the 5th. On the 11th, we then have Mercury in Gemini. So it's still saying the same thing, really. Now, on the 13th, we're going to have Mars in Pisces, which again is your first house. But again, at a collective level, it's 12th house. So for you guys personally, you might be battling with, do you trust your intuition? And I do feel you need to. A lot of times we tend to have wounds more linking in with, do I trust my intuition? The intuition has never failed you. You have no control over what other people do, right? So we tend to gain a wound, very much linking in with, had I known X, Y, and Z wouldn't have happened. It's actually not true. It's go back, make peace with your intuition and your gut. You are not responsible for another person's actions. And this is a very important tool to actually work through the Venus retrograde energy. try to experience the vibration like you're on a Ferris wheel. It's an experience. But similar to if your aspect was to move into a different house, which can be coming up for you guys at the moment, it is better to trial that than to commit to it totally till after Venus retrograde, even though many of us are in lockdown. So if you're looking at that and you're trying to correct a situation, it's better to look at it more from a temporary perspective than let's jump in all hands on deck, sign on the dotted line. Again, I'm not a financial advisor. It's just an example. Another example would be if you are looking at a career and it is, travel to a degree, and Mercury is more to do with travel, but more to do with our day-to-day routine. The runnings of your routine, your day-to-day routine. Fine-tuning that, so to speak, it can be difficult during a lockdown energy. But at the same time, that's why I do feel there's a lot of 5D energy, a lot of astro travel, and kind of deciphering it a bit like Tesla in your mind of how you actually feel that experience would be over completely at all times, being able to do that due to the situation playing out. But each person's situation will be very unique depending on where you are in the world. So for an example, if it was to move into a career, a brand new career at this point, if it had been something ongoingly you had even thought about, it's not that it's irrelevant and it's a poor time to do it, but your energy may shift. Taurian energy, value systems shifting. So even if it has been an area you have thought of for a very long time, this is a point in astrology where your energy, your beliefs, and your vibration is going to shift. So it's better to move into it in a temporary sense and assess it and lift that vibration over signing the dotted line and committing, because your value systems at the end of it may change. Now, moving into the beginning frequency of it is where you stand right now. It could be you're in assessment mode and judgment mode. And again, look at it this way. We do have Mercury in Aries, which again, it can be a bit of ego. But if it's from a pain body experience, it could be healthy ego. It could be healthy energy where you're looking at maybe the things you want to achieve, the things you want to attain. Does this person want me for X, Y, and Z, or are they wanting me because of X, Y, and Z? You're practicing healthy disconcernment, but you're judging the situation. Okay? That's the first part you're going to move into. Feeling like you're in judgment mode, trying to make a correct judgment, following your disconcernment. Midway, Venus, midway. This will be more so, I would say, between the energy of Gemini. And again, I should mention moving forward, but I feel I'll leave it up until May, because even with the energy of the Taurus energy, moving into May, which to me would be the midway point, I won't get too heavy into what is occurring with Mercury moving into the following month, because we're going to have eclipses, but I'll touch base with you guys again. So where it stands midway, this is mid-month, April, moving into May. I do feel you guys are in the hangman energy. Now, again, this is a spiritual assessment of value systems of, okay, do you hold value in this? Is it the hope? Is it the dream? Again, when it does move into the energy of Gemini, it can be your house, it can be the things you're wanting to shift in your life, bringing people in, maybe even adding people to that situation. And it is added responsibilities. When you say the fourth house, generally it's added responsibilities. Is it responsible or is it romantic? Do they require something from me? And this can even be in your employment, assessing those things and what the expectation is going to be, so to speak. So it's a very unique time to be looking at these things. It can be you're willing to make a temporary sacrifice and help somebody out that you have a romantic connection to. But again, it feels more you're in assessment mode and you're looking at the spiritual reason why these things are happening. Moving into the end cycle. Again, this could be the real danger zone. And again, it can be where you feel somebody's manipulating you or you're manipulating them or having to take a tactical approach to deal with it. Again, this will all link into however this Venus energy is going to directly play out for you. But there will be an energy of seeing the truth of a situation. So I do feel more the rose-colored glasses will completely be off. You will see the reality, and you will need to deal with it in a very unique way. Now, I am going to come back. We're going to do the next sign. I'm also feeling as well for Pisces, like we're going to be having the full moon in Scorpio. Now, that's on the 7th of May. For you guys, let me find my chart. Let's have a look at that energy. Let's jump forward a few months, eh? Pisces. I just need to have charts all over my wall. So much information. Okay, so the Scorpio energy for you guys is going to be your 9th house, which is quite spiritual. Your 9th house energy will link into... And you usually find with the Scorpion energy, it's very intuitive. It's very like something's been hidden. And I feel the full moon in that energy is almost like, okay, do we need to uncover it? Do we very superstitious, you know, in its mindset. So your intuition will be moving into that frequency. You'll be assessing it. You'll be digging deep. I'm still looking for the bloody chart. There it is. Okay, so this can even be linking to people in foreign countries. This can be a romantic connection with a person that is very different to you. Again, I do feel you'll be really looking at that and looking at the wider situation of not only what's happening within the Venus realm for you, but what's happening with Saturn in Aquarius in retrograde and how it's linking and how this new energy of your whole life moving forward and what your value system is within that. So it's a bunch of mishmash, really. It's your romantic sector, it's your financial and your career sector, your direct spiritual value systems after the fact, and also the need and the want to move. Potentially for some of you, it can be connecting into home, domain, correcting things, correcting your finances, correcting your physical foundation. And I do say during the whole Saturn retrograde, you will see slight themes of what 2021 is going to be, but you're more going to see the correct energy of that towards the end of the year. You'll see the darker shadow aspects of it more so at the moment, but any themes that come up, especially during the Venus retrograde, it's really healthy to look at these areas and be shifting them around. But I do feel after this Venus retrograde cycle, you will be very different and your value system is going to be. I'm also seeing anything linking back to 2002 and 2012. There can be old subject matters relating to that coming up. You find with the Zodiac, with the Venus energy, it takes 8 years to go around the wheel. So the last time we were in this energy was around those 2 dates I mentioned. So there can be subject matters of those things coming up and a deep transformative sense as to where you are right now. Love and light. I'll be back shortly. If you're wanting to make a booking, you can go to the link below. Otherwise, I am hosting an event via Facebook. The information is on the website. See you soon.